Are there any things that you have kept or saved over the years that you really cherish, or anything that you didn't that you wish that you had?
You know, I don't think I threw away anything that I'd feel bad about not having now.
Yeah.
As the kids got older and started drawing and doing other things, I managed to keep a representation of that.
Yeah.
And I know when Allison was early on, she got the connection between letters and sounds, and I remember she wrote this little book it was basically phonetic. She had learned the alphabet, and she knew what the letters sounded like, so she wrote this great little book about something, and I still have it.
That's one thing is, when I was younger, I didn't really see the importance in holding on to things as much as I do now. Looking back now, I'm like thinking, like, I wish I kept this part of when I was on, tour with my band here, or I wish I took photos of this, and sometimes I'm like, why didn't I keep that, So I'm glad to at least I kind of look back and remember that, so that now I'm kind of, as I'm living this, I'm knowing the importance of keeping certain representations, like you said, of things that happen over the years. But that's part of the reason that I do the blog. Is like I'm hoping to, do it for a certain. I probably won't do it forever, but I do it for a certain amount of time, and it's going to be an almost daily record of my experience as a father that I could pass to her, and she gets like the insight into what was going on. So
I remember there was this one piece that Jonas did in school, and it was just a basic primitive picture of, I think, a tree in the sky, but it had such vivid colors that Michelle and I both thought it was great, and we ended up putting it on in the kitchen, I think, in Colorado, and then but stuff like that I still have and still value it, and we found a place for it on the wall here too, but again, it was the story, not just the picture, but the story behind it, and they were at an age they probably don't remember that particular period, so it's a good way to talk about that period at some point.
Being that your wife is a midwife, you weren't really exposed to a lot of, people trying to tell you things that may have been misconceptions about, being a dad or anything like that. But were there things that you've heard, over the years, or that people have told you that you either found to be true or just untrue for your experience?
Oh yeah, I hear a lot of untrue things. Michelle and I went to a birth class before she gave birth to Allison, and I remember sitting with maybe 4 or 5 other couples, and I remember the midwife talking about the birth itself, and she says it doesn't really happen until it gets really primitive, and you know it's primitive from the way the sounds are coming out of the mom, and it's only then that she's willing to surrender to the process of getting the baby out. But I can't tell you how much that helped me, because instead of that being a frightening moment, it became what I was expecting.
Yeah, or what you were looking forward to, for the progress.
Yeah. And Michelle's talked about Lamaze classes sometimes, and the fact that that's not necessarily her experience of how it works. Getting the breathing down. You can practice that, but it really has to. You only get it when it gets really primitive, and you're knowing what to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, human beings have made it this far, And Lamaze breathing is, as far as a class, it's a relatively modern as far as teaching everybody how to do it. But people have been being born forever. So there has to, I would say that the part where it just becomes like this is nature happening is like it overpowers like all of the like teaching and learning and studying that you may even do. It's like going to get to the point where the mother feels what's going to happen and just reacts to it and does it just becomes like instead of like I'm going to breathe this baby out or push this it just becomes like this is what's happening right now so
yeah, you can live your life by a formula, but life doesn't always follow the numbers, and if that's all you're basing it on, you're in for some rude surprises.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Kevin for having us down to his house and talking tea and being a great dad. So.
It always makes me glad to talk about birth and talk about Michelle. I'm really very, very proud of her, and I'm glad to be able to play a part in her being able to deliver this type of care and to enlighten people the way she does, and to get them excited not just about birth but about the baby after.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm thankful too because she enabled our experience to be awesome. She was part of our experience.